everyone, this is Afsha, a lecturer at Elizabeth High School and Junior College. Welcome back to my class. Today we are going to start the unit 4 of inter first year botany, and here we are having chapter 8, that is taxonomy of angiosperms. We all know from our previous classes that taxonomy refers to the naming of organisms, right? So before beginning with our unit, let us move forward towards the introduction of Carl Linnaeus, a great botanist. So it is Carl Linnaeus who was born in the year 1707 and left the world in the year 1778. A Swedish pastor actually, a physician and a botanist who has the honor of being called as the father of taxonomy. He has only started the naming of organisms. In 1753, after experimenting with a number of approaches, he refined and standardized a binomial naming system that is called as binomial nomenclature. He also established a classification system which was simple enough to allow most people to key out a plant much as we do today, and it was called an artificial system because it relied on a very few features of the flower, primarily the number of stamens and pistils as the primary basis of division. That is what the reason it is called as artificial system of classification. If we move forward towards the systems or the types of classification, classification of plants refers to grouping of plants based on their structural similarities and interrelationships. The earlier classifications of plants were based on their economic uses, example cereals, medicinal plants, fiber yielding plants, oil yielding plants and etc. or on gross structural resemblances like herbs, shrubs, trees, climbers and etc. These classifications were incomplete and fragmentary as plants that did not fit into such classifications or of no apparent economic value were usually ignored. So different systems or classifications have developed gradually over the period and in tune with the advances that have taken place in other branches of botany as well as in allied sciences. Based on the criteria followed for classification, all the systems proposed from the beginning are grouped under 3 categories, that is artificial system of classification, natural system of classification and phylogenetic system of classification. So coming to the artificial system, it is the earliest system of plant classification based only on gross superficial morphological characters such as habit, color, number and shape of leaves and etc. So it is completely dependent on morphology that we can see from the external surfaces. In this system, only one or a few characters were selected arbitrarily and plants were arranged into groups according to such characters. As a result, closely related plants were often placed in different groups, while unrelated plants were placed in the same group because of the presence or absence of a particular character. This system did not indicate the natural relationship that exists among the individuals forming a group. Nevertheless, identification of an unknown plant was rendered easier by this system. So, we cannot say that it was not useful at all. Because of this only, identification of the rendered species became easier. Theophrastus, who is considered as the father of the botany, classified plants into 3 groups based on the habit as herbs, shrubs and trees. In his book Historia Plantarum, and Linnaeus classified plants into 24 groups on the basis of number, length and union of stamens and of carpels, that is the sexual characters actually, in his book that was named as Species Plantarum. These are examples of artificial system of classification. They gave equal importance to vegetative as well as sexual characters, and this is not acceptable since we know that often the vegetative characters are not stable as they get affected more easily to environment. If we proceed towards the natural system of classification, all the important mostly morphological characters were taken into consideration and plants were classified accordingly. Thus plants were first classified into few big groups. These were further subdivided into smaller and smaller groups until the smallest division, that is species, is reached. Usually the floral characters were given greater importance since they are more conserved and do not change due to the effect of environment. And however, characters of evolutionary importance were not considered. Despite the drawback, natural system still provides an easy means of the identification of plants. Bentham and Hooker's system of classification of plants as proposed in their book that was named as Genera Plantarum is a natural system of classification. So, Bentham and Hooker divided the flowering plants into three classes, that is named as dicotyledons, gymnosperms and monocotyledons. Dicotyledonnae was divided into three subclasses, namely Polypetalae, Gamopetalae and Monoclamidae, and Polypetalae was divided into three series that are named as Thalomyflorae, that will be having 6 cohorts or orders, we can say Deciflorae with 4 cohorts and Calciforae with 5 cohorts. Again, Gamopetalae was divided into 3 series, that is Inferae with 3 cohorts, Heteromerae with 3 cohorts and Bicarpellate with 4 cohorts, and Monoclamidae was divided into 8 series that are not divided into any further cohort. Monoclamidae was divided into 8 series that were not further divided into any cohorts, and coming to the monocotyledons, it was divided into 7 series that are not divided into any cohorts again, and the cohorts were further divided into natural orders, and thus they grouped the flowering plants into 202 natural orders now called as families. So, in the natural system of classification, Bentham and Hooker have given 202 natural orders that are now called as families. Of these families, 165 natural orders belong to Dicotyledonnae, 3 belong to Gymnospermae and the remaining 34 belong to the Monocotyledonnae. So that was all about the natural system of classification. Now if we proceed towards the phylogenetic system of classification, the classification of post-Darwinian period, that is after the period of Darwin, considered evolutionary trends in plants, and so they are considered as the phylogenetic systems. And in a phylogenetic system, primitive and advanced characters are recognized. Evolution may be progressive or retrogressive, and while considering the status of a taxon, a comprehensive picture of all the characters is taken into account. The system that was proposed by Engler and Prantl in their book Dinaturalische, the system proposed by Engler and Prantl in their book Die Naturlichen Pflanzenfamilien are, and by J. Hutchinson in his book Families of Flowering Plants, are examples for phylogenetic system, and the latest phylogenetic system is APG, that is Angiospermic Phylogenetic Group. So that was all about the systems of the classification. Now let us move forward towards the semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. We have to discuss about a typical flowering plant now. The plant is described beginning with its habit, habitat, vegetative characters, floral characters, followed by the fruit. So from this we all know what is habit and what is its habitat, etc. Now coming to the vegetative characters, the characters of root, stem and leaves comes under the vegetative characters, and floral characters in the sense inflorescence, flower and its parts, and the final thing that we have to describe in the flowering plant is the fruit. After describing various parts of a plant, a floral diagram and a floral formula are presented, and the floral formula is represented by some symbols of floral parts. So, in each and every floral formula, the letters BR stands for the bracteate, EBR stands for the ebracteate. So, in the floral formula, BR stands for bracteate, EBR stands for ebracteate, BRL stands for the bracteolate, and in the same way EBRL stands for ebracteolate. And if we proceed forward, if we are drawing a plus sign in a circle, it means that it is an actinomorphic flower, and if we are drawing the symbol of percentage, then it means that it is a zygomorphic flower. And if we proceed forward, this is a symbol that is representing that it is a male plant, and this symbol represents the female plant. And if we want to write the bisexual plant, then we have to combine these two symbols and we have to draw in such a way, and it means that it is a bisexual flowers. And if we proceed forward, we can see that in a floral formula, K refers to calyx, C refers to corolla, P refers to perianth, A stands for androecium, G stands for gynoecium, G with a blank or a hyphen we can say, that is draw below the G, then it means that it is a superior ovary, and if we reverse that symbol, then it means that it is an inferior ovary. Floral formula also indicates the number of free or united within brackets members of the corresponding whole. So by the floral formula we can also say that they are the free or the united members actually. It also shows cohesion, that is union among similar members, and addition, that is union between the dissimilar members. So for understanding this floral formula in detail, let us move forward towards the description of one important family, that is Fabaceae. This family was earlier called as Papilionoideae, a subfamily of Leguminosae in Bentham and Hooker system of classification, and plants of this family are distributed all over the world, mostly tropical and subtropical in mesophytic habitats. It comprises about 8,500 species under 450 genera. Some important plants among these include Arachis hypogaea, that is groundnut, Cajanus sachan, that is red ram, pigeon pea, and etc. Now coming to the habit, majority of herbs, some are shrubs, trees, weak stem, twinners or tendril climbers. So, but majority will be herbs only. And coming to the root system, we can see that there will be taproot system, that is nodular roots containing rhizobia, the nitrogen fixing bacteria, and stem will be aerial, prostrate or erect, and herbaceous or woody climbers may also be seen in this. And coming to the leaves will be colline, alternate, stipulate, base pulvinate, petiolate, simple or pinnately compound leaf with reticulate venation. So those were the vegetative characters. Now if we proceed towards the floral characters, first we can see that there will be racemose inflorescence, and coming to the flower, it will be bracteate, bracteolate, bracteate in the sense BR, right? Bracteolate in the sense BRL, or it may be ebracteolate also, that is EBRL. Then pedicellate, zygomorphic, complete, bisexual, pentamerous, perigynous, cup-shaped thalamus will be present. So coming to the calyx, it will be having 5 sepals and it will be gamosepalous, valvate or imbricate estivation can be seen, and the sepals are anterior. And coming to the corolla, petals are 5 in number and it will be polypetalous, papilionaceous, consisting of a large posterior petal that will be called as standard petal, 2 lateral petals that will be called as wing petals, and 2 anterior fused petals that will be called as keel petals will be present, that will be enclosing the stamens and pistil, and vexillary or descendingly imbricate estivation can be seen here. And in the androecium, the stamens will be 10 in number and it will be diadelphous as in Pisum or monoadelphous as in Arachis, and the anthers here will be dithecous. And coming to the female reproductive part of a flower, that is gynoecium, it will be having monocarpellary unilocular half superior ovary with many ovules on marginal placentation, style will be single and long terminal, and then stigma is very simple. And coming to the pollination, flowers are protandrous, usually entomophilous, cross pollination with piston mechanism, and self pollination is Pisum and Lathyrus can be seen. And coming to the fruit, mostly legume or pod will be present and it will be geocarpic, indehiscent in Arachis. And the last one is seed, that is 1 to many will be present, and non-endospermic, here endosperm will be absent. 2 cotyledons, that will be dicotyledonous, which store mostly proteins but also oil in Arachis. So that is an exemption actually. So that was all about the vegetative and the floral characters of the family Fabaceae. Now coming to the economic importance, many plants belonging to the family are good sources of proteins like pulses, red gram, black gram, etc. And they will be edible oils, for example soya bean, groundnut, etc. And it can also be used as vegetables like pods of beans, soya bean, seeds of garden pea, groundnut, leaves of menthi, and etc. can be taken here. And we will get timber from Fabaceae even, example will be red sanders, Indian rosewood. And coming to the fiber, the economic importance is that it will give fiber. The example here is sun hemp. And other commercially important products obtained are blue dye that is Indigofera, yellow dye that is Butea monosperma and commonly called flame of the forest. And coming to the medicinal value, we can get Derris indica, and coming to the fodder we will get Phaseolus or green manure such as Sesbania or Tephrosia purpurea. That was all about the economic importance of the Fabaceae. I hope by learning about the Fabaceae you all have got the clear idea about the importance of the floral formula and the floral diagram, how it will be defined actually, how it will be described in a technical perspective. So that was all about our chapter. Let us close our class here itself. We'll meet in our next class with a new chapter. Thank you.